Pakistan's loss to England in the second test in Multan has ensured that potentially there are only 3 contenders for 2 spots in the ICC World Test Championship cycle final. Remember, this edition of the ICC World Test Championship will be played, the final, on June 7th at the Oval. So now, effectively, there are only 3 teams in the fray for the final. The outside dark horse that we may say in the race is Sri Lanka. But we are talking about Australia, India, South Africa. These are the only 3 teams that have a very realistic chance of making it to the final on June 7th at the Oval. Now, Pakistan can get through the back door, but their chances are very, very limited, even through the back door. So, in this video, I am going to tell you what are the scenarios that Australia, India and South Africa need to do so that they can qualify for the final. So, as you know, don't look at this edition of the points table. The percentage points, this column, percentage points determines which team finishes in the top 2. So, Australia currently are on top with 75, South Africa with 60, Sri Lanka with 53.33, India are in 4th place with 52.08. But remember, India, Australia and South Africa have 2 series remaining, and that is the key factor, because Sri Lanka may be number 3, but they only have 1 series remaining, that is to New Zealand. Now, if New Zealand beats Sri Lanka are out of contention. Even if Sri Lanka had to beat New Zealand, then their chances still will be huge, because Australia, South Africa and India's percentage points may not dip below 55. This time, the qualification for the World Test Championship cycle seems to be in the range of 60 to 68 percentage points. The last time the percentage points calculation was close to 70, this time it is 60. Because such has been the nature of this cycle that we will now explore what these 3 teams, Australia, South Africa and India, need to do. So let us focus straight away with India, because India are going to play 2 tests against Bangladesh starting tomorrow. The first test starts at the Zaur Ahmed Chaudhary Stadium in Chattogram, followed by the second test at the Sher-e-Bangla Stadium in Mirpur. This is the last test series for India overseas. After that, they will play 4 tests at home against Australia, the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Potentially, that could be the preview to the final, because what must India do? They have to win all the 6 tests. If they win all the 6 tests, their qualification is guaranteed. Because 4-0, if they beat Australia, then Australia's percentage points will also dip. India, if they win 6, they are through. But if they lose 2 or more tests, then it becomes slightly complicated for them. Because remember, India cannot afford to lose 2 or more tests. If they lose 1 and win 5, then they still have a chance. They will still seal qualification. But if India loses 2, one of the tests is a draw and India manage only 3 wins, then we could have a problem. Because if they lose 2, they will need other results going their way. Meaning, Australia, if they beat South Africa, and if West Indies manage to beat South Africa, then India can potentially sneak through. Because India, remember, you have only 12 points for a win and only 4 points for a draw. That is a massive, massive points difference. And it can impact the percentage points in a big way. What must Australia do? Well, they can seal their qualification for the World Test Championship cycle even before they come to India. But they will have to beat South Africa 3-0. Considering the past results that have impacted between Australia and South Africa in Australia, it's not going to be an easy task. Remember, South Africa have not lost in Australia for nearly 17 years a series. The last time they lost was in 2005. They won in 2008, they won in 2012, they won in 2016, and now they are back on Australian shores aiming to consolidate their record. Will qualify even if they lose 0-4 to India. The condition is if they beat South Africa 3-0. Even if they lose 4-0 to India, they will seal their automatic qualification, because they cannot dip below 65 percentage points. And if India wins 4-0, Australia wins 3-0 against South Africa, then these two teams will contest the final at the Oval. What must South Africa do? Well, they'll have to hope that they win at least one test in South Africa and they win 2-0 versus the West Indies. Because if they lose the two tests, then their percentage points will remain on 60. And it does not impact their chances that much. So South Africa could be the ultimate spoiler if you want to look at an India final, because South Africa play about 5 tests. India plays 6 tests, Australia plays 7 tests in this current cycle. So, if South Africa win 2-0 against the West Indies and they win 1 test against Australia, their chances of qualifying for the final are all but secure, because they will not dip below 60 percentage points. And 60, as I had said, seems to be the minimum cutoff for teams to be in the fray for the World Test Championship cycle final. For India, the brief is simple: win 5 or 6 tests. If they do that, they will automatically qualify for the final. But if they lose 2 or more tests, then their chances take a big hit. Because 5 tests and 1 loss will ensure that India seal their spot at the Oval. But if they lose 2 or more, that means if they just win 3, and if they do not win more than 2, then there is a massive problem for them. Australia win the series against South Africa, they are through, even if they lose 4-0 to India. South Africa, they have to win at least 1 match in Australia. If they win that match, and even if they lose the series, their percentage points will actually not be impacted. So this is how the World Test Championship cycle final is building up to be a crescendo, because Sri Lanka could be the dark horses, but if they lose to New Zealand, they are out. Australia, South Africa, India. These 3 with 7, 6, 5 respectively, they will be hoping to book their tickets on June 7th for that grand prize of the World Test Championship cycle final in Oval. Remember, you will have a new champion because New Zealand are dethroned. Even if they win 4 tests against Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they cannot qualify for the World Test Championship cycle final. That is how this game is, ruthless. 2021 champions, you will now see a new champion in 2023. And one of Australia, India and South Africa could be that. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this special video. We'll be back with more updates from Sports Today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thank you.